Sorry.
Bro.
I had a hole in my mouth, and I was like, oh crap, I'm not going to talk. Hey, Previews World, what's up? This Wednesday is New Comic Book Day, which means it's time for Previews World Weekly. I'm one of your hosts, Troy-Jefferey Allen.
I'm your other host, Ashton Greenwood, a.k.a. the Duchess of Free Comic Book Day.
Not like I haven't done this like over 200 times at this point.
It's not like we do it every week.
Every single week, but there you go. Anyway, I thought it'd be gone by the time we started, but it wasn't. Anyway.
Nevertheless.
What's going on, Ashton? How you doing?
Pretty good.
You want to remind the kids? You know what? So I was talking to, this is just an aside real quick.
Oh, okay.
Joaquin, a.k.a. Mystical Green Beanie.
Unfortunately.
Does a weekly stream, unfortunately. There's a weekly stream where he just talks about comics on Wednesday, actually, in the evening. And it just so happens that he completely flubbed when Free Comic Book Day was.
Of course he did.
So can you remind him when Free Comic Book Day was?
For everybody out there, but specifically you, Mystical Green Beanie, May 6th.
There you go, May 6th.
Saturday, May 6th.
Saturday, May 6th. Let's get into things we saw this week.
Let's do it.
Because this is fun. Creed 3, if I could go first.
Yeah.
All right, I just went first. So,
That's fine. Did you see it? You saw it?
I saw it.
Ooh,
I was really excited
how
about
was
that. It was good. I haven't disliked any of the Creed movies.
I've not even seen the second one.
Yeah, I mean, the second it's a good middle movie.
Okay.
I'll put it like that. Like if you're, it's like, typically middle movies are either, I guess, are great.
Yeah.
Or they're just transitioning. And that's what that was. It's a nice transition, right? And so this one, a lot has been made about Sylvester Stallone's beef with the Winkler family, who are the producers of the Rocky movies and the Creed movies. So he's not in this one, right?
Okay.
And so with that knowledge, it kind of works out because the second movie kind of transitions him out of the franchise. Not definitively, but it can be perceived as that.
Okay.
And so
Fair
he's
enough.
not in this third one, so it kind of works out a little bit. But yeah, the Rocky formula never gets old to me. I didn't like, the whole Cinderella thing, you can do it like about 15 times.
It's always satisfying.
It's always satisfying. And like kind of weepy too. It kind of knows how to get you, just a little bit an emotional core at the same time. So yeah, I was happy. I was very, very satisfied with Creed 3. Very happy. I'm on a good run with movies right now.
That's a good sell.
I also saw Missing, which was like this they call them screen life movies. You've definitely seen these before, where the movie's entirely on the screen. So it's like,
what do you mean?
For example, there was a social media one where there was like a killer who was killing all these teenagers. I can't remember the name of the movie. Johnny, maybe you can look this up. But like, they were killing all these teenagers, but like the entire movie took place on the kid's computer screen. So they were talking through instant message and Facebook and TikTok and blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. And like, it was like a murder mystery.
Yeah.
I saw this movie Missing, which is a newer one that just came out. It was actually pretty good. I was actually, I like every time they call these screen life movies. I guess that's the new thing. I keep wanting to call them found footage, but that's not what they are. Like screen life is what they call them now. And so I recommend that too. That was pretty good. I also saw Banshees of, I can never say the freaking.
Inisherin?
Thank you very much. Also pretty good.
My mom kind of spoiled the whole thing and told me the plot of the movie, but just like, all that did was make me want to see it more. Because it was crazy the way she described it. I was like, who came up with this nonsense?
No, that's very fair. Because I was like, I don't feel like it's a movie you can really spoil.
That's fair, but she was like talking to me about like, I don't want to like spoil it for anybody, but like the fiddler and like removing his fingers and like, I was just like, what?
I knew exactly, as soon as she said, I was like, I know exactly what she's going to talk about.
I was like, what? And then the donkey and the whole thing with the donkey. And I was like, what is this?
Yes, yeah. No, I've been on a good tear. I'm going to try to see Cocaine Bear soon because I know that I'm overdue for that one too. So
I learned at the Oscars, which we're going to talk about more about the Oscars later, but I didn't realize that was an Elizabeth Banks movie, and now it makes perfect sense.
I had no idea. I don't know if that makes perfect sense or not, to be honest. Like, I'm kind of thrown by that. Because she directed Pitch Perfect, right?
Did you direct it? She was in it. Her character was off the rails in that movie.
Or maybe one of the Pitch Perfect movies. I can't remember. But anyway, that's Johnny's way of telling us to move on. All right. What did you do this weekend, Ashton? It sounds fun.
So there's, we talked, a couple weeks back, I want to say probably months ago at this point, we had talked about the Sith Rising game or Dark Side Rising. And I had looked up that there's a SpongeBob version of it called Plankton Rising. And a friend of mine actually got it for me, Stan, who watches our show usually. And I finally got a chance to play it this weekend. And it was hilarious and so fun. It's a co-op strategy game. And basically the whole goal is like you see the cards laid out, like Don the Whale and Gary and Sandy and like Squidward's on the other side. And the point is you need to like accumulate as many friends as you can and make as many Krusty Krab orders as you can before Plankton steals the Krabby Patty secret formula, which is like symbolized by that Krabby Patty down the side, and he steals it in bits, and it is stressful. It's very fun. I had a great time, but anything that's like against the clock, like Pandemic is also another like co-op board game. That game stresses me out. Pac-Man stresses me out. Anything that's like against the clock, Tetris. Anxiety, immediate. Yeah, Tetris.
I mean, it's built like that.
Yeah.
I also, actually randomly, just jumping back to movies real quick, I saw that, who's the guy from Kingsman? I'm so blanking on names today. I don't know what the deal is.
Colin Firth?
Not Colin Firth.
Karen Edgerton?
Edgerton.
Yeah.
He's in a Tetris movie?
Yeah.
Like I just
on
saw
Apple
that.
TV.
Yeah. I was wondering how riveting can that be? But maybe I don't know. Maybe it's really interesting. But I find the thing interesting about these board games now is like now they're like expansions on top of expansions. So I'm assuming the Rising thing, it didn't start with the Star Wars game, right?
No.
It's from something else, right? And these are all expansions of that game series, right?
It started with the Thanos Rising.
Thanos Rising. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
there you go.
So it wasn't like an original property, but this is just.
They all have kind of like similar mechanics.
But they're all kind of licensed things at the end of the day. Okay, interesting. All right, cool. So recommend?
Big recommend.
Big recommend. All right.
You can get it at your local comic book shop.
There you go. Actually, yeah, I think it's available pre-order, or you can order it now.
It's already out, obviously.
It's already out. Yeah.
We do have a couple people checking in for comments.
Yeah, what do we got? What's going on, people?
Stantastic 4. Hey guys, hope everyone's well today.
Fantastic. How's it going?
Hey,
Tony
Stan.
saying
Thanks
Happy
for
New
boarding.
Comic Book Day. Hope you're all feeling better. Yes, we are.
What's up, Tony?
Troy nearly died last week.
I did. Oddly worse than COVID, I gotta point out. It was just worse than my experience with COVID, I should say. But yeah, it was a rough time.
Decline.
Curious about the movie
viruses.
65 that just came out. Very interesting plot line. What is that? I haven't heard
Oh,
of it.
that's the your boy from
That could be anybody.
Yeah, right. Shirtless.
Still could be
Adam
anybody.
Driver.
There we go.
There you go. I can't get Kylo Ren. I couldn't remember his name for a second.
With those high-waisted pants.
And the high-waisted pants. There you go.
Look, that was a moment for some reason.
Apparently it was. But no, yeah, they're it's a movie where he goes. I guess they go to another planet, or at least they think they're going to another planet, and it turns out it's dinosaurs.
Yes.
And that there may be an Earth in the past, I guess. I'm assuming that's what it is. I don't know for sure. But
sure.
I've heard, it's weird because you know what I've noticed? There's been a lot of, I wasn't prepared for the shout out. Shout out to you, Stantastic. Thanks for joining us every week.
Oh, and look who's back. Annie Fox.
Annie Fox. Hi,
Haven't seen her in a
roll
while.
back.
Missed
There you
you for a
go.
while.
Right. Continue.
What were we talking about?
What were we talking about?
Movie-
Oops, I just cursed.
Movie 65.
Oh, yeah. No, I just noticed this pattern. Like, I try to stay away from Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, God,
Because I
yeah.
just think it's toxic and it's just bad for your brain in general.
Yes.
But I recently saw Quantumania, and I came away from that and like, what was everybody complaining? Because I heard it got bad reviews. So then I went online and I've noticed that like, there has been quite a few, like more than a few movies lately, that the audience score and the critic score are wildly different. Like at least more than 20%.
Was that the case with Quantumania?
That was the case with Quantumania, and that was also the case with 65.
In what direction?
The audience was all into it.
And critics
And the
were
critics
not.
were just like, no. So,
Well, I mean, the audience is, I would think what you care about more is the people
Absolutely.
putting their money into
the practical
it.
people, the everyday
Yeah.
people who want to just watch a movie, not the people to get paid to see a movie.
Right.
And probably are super like cynical about the process at this point because that's what happens. But yeah, I just thought that was really interesting. I noticed that with Quantumania. I noticed that with, not wildly with Creed, but definitely like at least like a slight more, the audience enjoyed it more than the critics did, you know? And like, yeah, there was a few others like that as well. I think Cocaine Bear was also on the list. I actually was not going to see Cocaine Bear because I heard people say it was bad.
I've heard nothing but good things about this ridiculous movie.
And well, then I went online and I was just on Rotten Tomatoes doing this whole lineup of stuff that I'm like curious, how does it scale out? And I saw that the audience loved it, so it was like, okay, I'm gonna go see it.
Let people like things.
Let people like things. I'm of the attitude that I think critics are kind of overrated at this point, and I got destroyed by people online when I voiced that opinion one time, including Michelle. Michelle came for me real hard on that one.
Yo, Michelle has opinions.
She has opinions.
She
She's
out here with
definitely got opinions. Anyway, let's get into this week's comics. Here are this week's picks from Ashton and I, and also new releases.
I'm going first.
You going first? Oh, okay.
I was quick with it. I'm ready this week.
All right. Okay.
I have an ulterior motive,
Okay.
which is Do you remember a few weeks ago when I told you, I've been thinking about I might pick a boys love book, but is that weird? And you were like, just do it.
Just do it.
This week's the week.
Okay, all right.
Troy, all right, explain to me, or explain to all of us, what is yaoi?
Oh, I get to do this?
You get to do it.
So actually, well, this is kind of cheating because I saw you mentioned it earlier today to Johnny, because Johnny was like,
Yeah.
he was like, I have no idea. Boy love.
Yeah.
Yes, and I amusingly enough, I will point out the reason I know that is because a few years ago we were selling shirts that says I love yaoi in the catalog, in previous catalog.
Of course.
And so naturally, it was in the manga section. I looked it up and I was like, oh, that's what it is. And now we have like what, Sublime? Who makes a bunch of? Is that
my
the
pick
pick?
is from Sublime.
Yeah, they make a bunch of yaoi stuff. So.
There's a couple publishers, but like
Yeah.
Sublime does exclusively yaoi. Tokyo Pop also does boys love.
Yeah, they do. That's true. Yeah. So you have the floor. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for the explanation. Okay, so my pick this week is The Dragon's Betrothed Volume 1. And part of what I really like about yaoi is the plots are always wild, like completely just out of pocket, deranged. So the plot for this book is there's a troubled writer, Chihiro, goes back home to his rural town, which he's looking for some R&R, and he's got writer's block. He's trying to overcome his creative blocks to get back into the writing game. But the reason he left his rural town in the first place is he was betrothed to this local wizard.
That took a turn. Okay.
Yeah. This local wizard who is the dragon, like the water dragon god.
Okay.
Not sure what that means or what powers he gets as a
Sounds like
result
Yu-Gi-Oh to me.
of being the water dragon god.
Okay.
But he's his name's Ren. Ren's super into Chihiro. Chihiro's not that into Ren. It's kind of like a forced marriage trope, which I love a forced marriage trope.
That's always great.
I'm sure they'll fall in love by the end of this.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sure it'll go left in the first 20 pages. And I can't wait. It's a volume number 1, which is hype. I also I love manga boys, I have to say. We talked about this 2 weeks ago with the manga Superman.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I just like the way they look. I like the hair. I like the jewelry.
That's a thing. That is definitely a thing.
Yeah.
There's a streamer I follow called Avline, and all she does is talk about manga boys. She actually, to the point that she's like, I don't actually like real boys. I just like manga boys. And it's actually hilarious to me. She's just obsessed. So much respect for that. So that's from Sublime, who actually definitely releases a bunch of other boy love stuff. I actually want to clarify too something, and let me know if I'm wrong here. Just because it's yaoi doesn't mean it's explicit, right?
No, Sublime does do explicitly or exclusively explicit content. Yeah. But no, not all yaoi is explicit. Tokyo Pop does all teen yaoi. It's all just fluff, sort of like a Hallmark movie. That kind of trajectory.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, hey, it's good for the straight people. It's good for the yaoi crowd too.
Exactly.
All right, that's in comic shops this week, guys. There you go, mixing it up. I love it. Ashton, I don't know if you know this about me, but I love Jay Lee artwork. I own 2 pieces by Jay Lee. I've been a big fan of his since his early Marvel stuff in the X Factor days, way back in the 90s. And it just so happens that he has a new book out this week called Seven Sons. And so it's a collection, right? So this is his first creator-owned book in a what? Right? Yeah.
Love that.
Creator-owned book in a while. He's done career-defining stints at Marvel, at DC. Wow. He's done a couple of things at Dynamite recently too. On top of that, but this is a book that came out in single issues last year, and I kind of opted to wait. Okay. So I'm getting the trade paperback because it's out today. I'm gonna give it a whirl. It has religious overtones too, which I did not expect from Jay Lee, just because typically his art is kind of gothic.
Okay.
And so I just didn't expect that from him. But the idea here is that basically 7 individuals are positioned to be crowned the Son of God, Big G, and.
An important distinction.
An important distinction. The new Messiah. I mean, in these spaces where we operate in.
Yeah, no,
it could be
real.
demigod. It could be, you never know. So, but yeah, God, right?
God.
And so basically, they're going to be the new Messiah. And of course, Judgment Day is looming. which kind of makes the push to crown someone as Jesus basically very real. Yeah, and like again, I'm actually kind of looking at the cover art for last previous issues, particularly this two here.
Yeah.
I'm kind of floored by how well religious imagery works for Jay Lee. Like, I just did not expect that. Because like I said, I just am so used to him doing something. He's done a lot of stuff for Stephen King's Dark Tower, stuff like that.
Got
so,
it,
just, that, I guess that's what, American Gothic, I guess you can go in that direction, sort of.
A lot of darker colors.
A lot of darker colors and stuff like that. That's kind of his thing. So, I mean, the use of white alone on that cover is actually a departure for him.
Oh, really? Yeah, okay, fair enough.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, seeing more of this. And like, yeah, I'm going to dive in because, yeah, not at all what I expected, but huge Jay Lee fan. And I'm glad you had the reaction that I had to that cover because I was like, oh, great.
That floored me the moment I saw it.
Absolutely.
Which, I mean, if you were going to judge a book by a cover, that enough.
There you go.
That alone is enough to get me to pick it up.
That's the one.
But knowing what it's about, I love a Judgment Day story.
Yeah, of course, right?
They're really like upsetting, but I guess
right,
like that.
Ultimately, they don't pan out,
Yeah.
But yeah, Seven Sons, that's from Image Comics this week in trade paperback form. Pick it up at your local comic shop. Let's get into comments.
Fat Tony saying Seven Sons was a great read.
Okay.
nice.
Fat Tony already on it. Mr. Green Bean said, hold on, this is the Yowie episode?
Yeah.
This is
It is now.
This is, you know what? That should have been the thumbnail. It should have been Boy Love on the thumbnail, and this is the Yowie episode. That's it. That's what we should have done. We should have done that.
And then Annie Fox saying, I'm planning to stop buying single comics and just waiting for trades to come out. Is this lame or what?
You know,
I think it depends.
it depends. I go back and forth on this
Yeah.
all the time. And it's without fail. Every time I decide to wait for something, there's always that one or two books where it's like, oh damn, I need this every month.
Yeah.
I hit that with Punisher and a couple other ones where I was like, oh, I'm gonna wait. I did that with Deadly Class for like about 2 years, I wanna say. Yeah, about 2 years.
You weren't reading Deadly Class monthly?
No, when it first came out, I was like, oh, I'll get it in trade. And I bought the trade.
Yeah.
And the trade happened to be a hardcover that was like the first, what's it, 2 years? So about the first 24 issues.
Yeah.
And I read it and I was like, I need to collect all these. Like I want to own all these.
Yeah.
So
I
it
think
depends.
that's probably the roadblock to trade waiting is like you want to kind of like binge it, but then you binge it and you're like, damn, I want to have all of these. And they got you that way too.
Right. So your mileage may vary. Do what you want, Annie. I'm not going to hate on you. Any more comments yet?
No, that's it.
All right. So here we go with Natasha in the Previews Toy Chest. She's going to show you what's available in the toy section of your local comic shop this week. Check it out.
Natasha here to give you a look inside the Previews Toy Chest. Let's find out what's available at comic shops for the week of March 15th, 2023. Want to see more? Then check out my show DST Unboxed, where I show you what awesome new collectibles are on their way to your local comic shop. Check it out at youtube.com/collectdst. As for me, I'll see you back here next week.
Hakes Auctions is the premier source for all manner of Americana and collectibles, and auction number 237 is now open for bidding. Here are some of the amazing items that you can find over at Hakes.com. Be sure to check out the full auction by visiting hakes.com. Closing dates for items in auction 237 are March 21st through 22nd. Hakes, America's first collectibles auction house.
And that was Hakes 237. Before that was Natasha with the Previews Toy Chest. You can catch Natasha every single week on Tuesdays with a lineup of toys available and collectibles available at your local comic shop. And as for Hakes, ends next week, so I'm told.
Really?
Yeah, the 22nd. So definitely jump on it.
A week from today.
A week from today. So yeah, jump on it. Be sure to be a part of that because yeah, some big auctions being put up over there. And like most importantly, if you can scroll back up, okay, the splash already went away. But the original artwork, that's the thing that I fixate on because I mean, you talk about a piece of history, like and something that no one else could potentially have. Like I've gotten, shame on me because I've gotten really big into original artwork. And there's certain things. It's an expensive hobby. It is, and there's just certain things that are like completely out of my price range.
Sure.
Like, no matter how badly I want it, but at the same time, more so than a comic, it's like this is super rare. Like there's nothing else like this, and especially when you consider the digital art is taking over now. The idea of someone putting pencil to paper, and ink to paper, these are the original NFTs.
It's got their DNA on it.
It's got their DNA.
Oh my God, NFTs, get out of my face.
Actually, let's not say that because I guess that's over with. It sounds like the era of NFTs is over with.
Who would have guessed?
Who would have guessed? But yeah, definitely check that out because that stuff's really cool. I just think that, that's literally a piece of pop culture history there. Hakes.com. Go to Hakes.com and discover the entire world of pop culture at your disposal. All right.
We got some more comments.
Oh, yeah, comments.
Wow, that's a very engaged chat.
Yeah.
Annie is chiming back in saying that for her it's a money and storage issue, but it's hard to wait on something I'm excited about.
Storage issue is real.
Yeah, that's a real thing. I'm actively kind of like, okay, maybe it's time to purge some of these comics. Like, what are we doing here? What else, John?
I do have a quick point about that because I feel like, you can go either way with the trades. I mean, if you're trying to go back and from say Troy recommends something to me that's like long since been out of print, it's a lot easier to try and find the trade to be able to pick that up. If you got something new that's recurring, then if you're really excited about it, then by all means, pick it up like each month or each week or whatever it is. So.
But see, the other irony of this is like, okay, comics go into a cabinet or a storage box, a comic box or something like that, right? There's dedicated space for them, right?
Yeah.
Books, you got to get a shelf, right? And you got to kind of have to, trade paperbacks, I should say. You got to get a shelf, and you got to share that space with novels and everything else, and then...
Is that such a bad thing?
But no, then it becomes a storage issue all over again.
Oh, okay.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't... And that's my current plight. Like, I'm in that position right now where I'm like, do I buy another bookshelf? Like, do I have room for another bookshelf? Or maybe some of this stuff needs to go to the library now because I can't hold on to it anymore, So it's a real thing.
It is. I literally have like stacks of books on the floor because I don't know where to go with them.
Yeah, and actually I was getting to that point too, and I forced myself to organize them, but still it's a lot. It's a lot. So yeah, your mileage may vary. I don't know, guys. Up to you. Actually, let us know what you guys do to kind of combat storing your comics. I think that's actually an important topic that we should definitely talk more about amongst each other.
Speaking of which, from Twitch, what are your thoughts on having physical comics graded and sealed for collecting? And also subscribing to the digital version for reading and not having Cheeto fingers messing up, it cuts it off, but messing up the pages and whatnot.
I'm not crazy about grading comics. I like, I don't get them for the value of them, I guess. The financial value of them.
Yeah.
That's not what I do. I probably should be more smarter about that. I mean, we're literally surrounded by people in this company who do that all the time.
I know.
But, yeah.
I don't either. Like, I'm here to read them. Also, like, for me, I really like the tactile nature of it. Like, I've had a Kindle in the past, and like, it's cool from the standpoint of having a bunch of books and not needing to figure out where to put them. But it's definitely not the same experience.
No.
So I feel like for me, I would lose part of the comic reading experience if it was inaccessible because it was cased up.
So I can read comics on a tablet, right?
Okay.
Not always preferred, but I can read comics on a tablet. I can't do novels for some reason.
Like on like a Surface or an iPad?
Yeah, I just cannot do it, or a Kindle or whatever. I just can't do it. I don't know what it is. Like, it's just, I need the book. Like, you know what
No,
I
I
mean?
feel that.
And, you know, I need the break, like we were talking about breaking the spine.
Oh, yeah.
And all that stuff, and how satisfying that is. I need that to happen. Like, that's a real thing. So, I don't know. Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, again, it
I
depends
don't
on
think
who you
I've
are.
ever read digital comics. Well, that weren't manga. I think I've only ever read American comics in print.
I mean, I get Comixology too, and sometimes I use that to try out stuff
Yeah.
to decide if I actually like it. But sometimes there's just stuff where you know the artist, and you're just like, I need the physical version of this because
Yeah.
I know he's going to take that page and just tear it up, you know. So
Also, part of my problem is I get anxious about recall if I don't have the ability to flip back easily, like in a book. And if I have to like be tapping my way back to figure something out in a Kindle, I get stressed. Like it kind of ruins the experience for me because I'm like, what if I don't remember and I need to figure it out and I need to go back, but then I can't get back and then I can't get back to where I was and then it just like, it kind of takes something away.
I totally understand, especially now because Amazon kind of folded Comixology into the rest of their app. It's not ideal.
Yeah.
Like it was actually way easier before. It was just its own dedicated
okay.
thing. Now it's part of the Kindle platform.
Right.
And it's just like, yeah, I've actually noticed that going back to like page, I don't know, when you're on page 200 and you're trying to go back to page 12, like, oh yeah, that's that guy, you know?
Right.
It's just like, it's just a chore. It's definitely a task. So I get that.
Annie Fox is chiming in saying that she just likes the smell of books.
Oh,
That too.
same.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
big
we're
on
all the same weirdo.
big on that, absolutely big on that, 100%. I've purchased books from the 60s and like, you know, I have like some old Daredevil and Spider-Man stuff and, you know, I don't even really put them in sleeves. Like it's in a sleeve, but not like, you know,
Yeah.
it doesn't have a backboard or anything like on it. It's just, I want to be
bag.
able to read it. I just
Yeah.
want to be able to break it out, you know?
And there's something about those older comics that are printed on that newspaper.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
The
yes.
smell of that,
Yeah.
oh, that brings me right back to my childhood.
Absolutely, 100%.
Izzy vs. NYC is saying Jay Lee's work on Hellshock was great.
That's his last creator-owned thing he did, which was about 14 years ago, I want to say.
Yeah, it's a while back. He says
So-
it's also so refreshing to see veteran artists like Jay Lee still doing interior art.
Yeah, because he's definitely been doing a lot of covers. You're 100% right on that. And his interior art is just so good. You know, so.
And Mystical Green Bean saying, bedroom? You mean my second library?
Yeah, I get that too.
Yeah.
It's just a place where I store all my comics.
We're all the same nerd,
We're
apparently.
all the same nerd. Welcome. You all should feel comfortable here. You are very much a part of the crew here at PREVIEWSworld Weekly. All right, let's get into some new stuff. How about that?
Yeah.
All right, I feel like we're running over. All right, Ashton's here, and she has news. So give her news.
News time.
Yes,
That was satisfying.
that was satisfying.
I don't like the just dead air while
You're
we
right.
wait.
It just doesn't feel right.
Don't I need to expand this into some kind of like weird ASMR video?
Probably.
I mean, would I say no? Of course not.
At this point, it sounds like what we need is like someone flipping through old comics as ASMR.
Oh, like running your fingers down it. Oh.
Just make a 5-minute video for literally for the audience watching this show.
Guaranteed it would blow up on TikTok.
It probably would.
Johnny, I think we found a new project.
Mm-hmm. News.
I lost my spot in my
Uh-oh.
notes. Here it is. Okay, I found it. Okay, June of this year, DC is launching a new series starring John Henry Irons, Steelworks.
Still, yeah.
And it's going to be written by Michael Dorn,
That's
who played Worf on Star Trek, and he also voiced John Henry Irons in Superman the Animated Series.
Okay.
So,
I was
a
like, there had to
natural
be a
pairing.
connection there. Okay. All right.
Yeah, like when we first mentioned this yesterday, I only knew him from Star Trek, and I was
Right.
like, okay, like that's cool, but like that's kind of, it seemed kind of random until I realized he was also the voice in Superman the Animated Series. Let's see. So, following the recent events in the Action Comics series, this new Steelworks series will follow John and his niece Natasha Irons as they attempt to successfully run their engineering company despite a gaggle of oncoming threats. I could read you the synopsis. I'm sure you don't care to hear all of it. But it's, again, in comic shops this June. I'm more interested in your take on this because you seemed pretty excited.
I mean, like the first thing that came to mind was like, is this nepotism? Do we feel like this is nepotism?
Why? Because he voiced him in...
Because you voiced him on Superman the Animated Series 20 years ago.
I wasn't aware Michael Dorn was a writer.
I mean, has he written a lot of other stuff? Like, I feel like
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
Did you? So that, I guess that's kind of my answer. Is like
Okay.
feels a little bit like nepotism,
Right,
simply on the fact that it's like he voiced him in the series and he doesn't have a lot of writing credits.
You're right. Yeah. I'm like, did he? I don't know, Johnny. If you could, real quick, can you see if Michael Dorn has written anything else?
Or are we just slandering this man's
Or
whole
we just
career for no
slandering him
reason?
We're just slandering Worf for no reason.
I see books on here by a Michael Dorn, but I don't know if they're the same one.
A Michael Dorn.
I mean, you would think he would have written an episode of Star Trek or something.
I would hope, man.
Yeah. But
Who's on there long enough?
I mean, it's cool. Whatever. I'm glad that still black character. It's cool that he's getting the spotlight again. Had a great series by Louis Simonson in the '90s. Don't think he's had a lot of play as an individual comic for a while now. So also, I hear great things about Action Comics right now. So. Yeah, whatever the spinoff is, like
Still Brian Michael Bendis or someone else?
no, it's oh god, I'm gonna blank on his name. He's got three first names. I can't think of any of them. I can't remember his name.
Oh man, that's rough.
It's awful. I'm doing a bad job. I've heard really good things about it though. John Kennedy. I'll get to it anyway. He's also writing Alien right now. I cannot think of it right now, but I'm bad at names.
That didn't help me. I
That
don't
didn't happen
read
at all.
superhero
I'm gonna
comics.
look it up. Let's move on to the next thing.
Okay,
Let me
great.
ask you this: is this any different than Paul Dano, who played the Riddler in the Batman movie?
I think
The
that is.
Batman, the Riddler series.
I mean, I say nepotism, and I'm joking. Let's be clear.
I don't feel like nepotism is the right word either,
Right,
but I
probably
get what
not.
you're saying.
But like at the same time, yes, Johnny. It seems a little sketchy.
Okay, well, BattleChasers. Moving on. Okay, so Joe Madureira and BattleChasers are coming back to Image Comics after a 22-year hiatus, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So it's one of the, infamously, I should say, one of the longest delayed comic books in comic book history.
Philip Kennedy Johnson. Sorry.
Philip Kennedy Johnson.
Yes.
Okay, Johnson's not really a first name,
No, it's
but
not. Sorry.
Pip Kennedy. Okay. Gonna get us canceled.
Anyway, sorry. I'll give you a second.
2001. That's where I was going with that.
Okay.
The Image Comics originally solicited BattleChasers number 10 in 2001, and now 22 years later, it's hitting comic shops, which is crazy.
That's crazy.
So Joe Madureira will still be writing. Ludo Lullaby will be doing art. And then J. Scott Campbell, Humberto Ramos, Chris Bacalo, Scotty Young, Johnny, and Mirka Andolfo all will have variant covers.
Interesting. I'm a little shocked that Joe Mad isn't doing the artwork. I just assumed I didn't really zero in on this this article, so I assumed he was doing the artwork. That's kind of crazy that he's not doing the art. Interesting. But yeah, this is one of those books that it's been one of the most delayed titles. Even when it first came out in the 90s, it was one of the most delayed titles. And Joe Mad kind of up and left and went and started making video games instead. I mean, whatever.
I love a rage quit.
Yeah, you're right. I don't even know if it was necessarily a rage quit. I don't think it was one of those. It was just more along the lines of he had a better opportunity, better money.
Fair.
And he got to start his own game studio, which they make pretty good games apparently. So
All right.
there you go.
Can't be mad.
Yeah, can't be mad at it. I saw a guy complaining about why anyone would want this if the story isn't complete, because technically the story's not finished, right? And it's for the art. It's a visual medium.
You could say that about any comic book.
Right.
Why
It's
would
for
you
that.
want a single issue of any comic book? It's not a complete story.
Whatever. I also saw people genuinely excited about this because it's definitely one of those books that's kind of infamous, but at the same time, for its delays, but at the same time, it's something that people will flock to when it drops. BattleChasers.
I hope it does well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's get into things this past week that also happened, right? Actually, let's talk about Mandalorian.
Okay.
How caught up are you on?
I haven't seen the second episode.
Okay, I have not seen the second episode yet either.
Okay, perfect.
Johnny, how caught up are you on Mandalorian?
I did see the second episode last night.
Okay, so
Okay.
today will be the third episode, right?
Today, yes, it just
All
dropped
right,
today.
cool. This show is definitely Star Wars comfort food for me.
Oh God, yes.
It's my safe space for Star Wars at this point because I get triggered by everything else Star Wars. It feels like.
Yo, Troy said some just crazy stuff on Facebook 2 weeks ago.
I don't know if it was all that crazy.
Bro, it was wild. that was bold.
Sorry.
This man sat on Facebook and said, "Give me the original trilogy and Mandalorian only. Everything else in the trash."
I did.
In the trash.
I did. Now,
You could go in the trash with it then.
so okay, let me clarify. Okay, admittedly, I was being incendiary, right?
don't say.
But well, look, I just feel like the original trilogy, which is Star Wars, right? I mean, undeniably, that is the basis for everything Star Wars,
Yes,
right?
of course.
And Mandalorian fits so perfectly with it.
Oh,
like,
yes.
Just
I completely
tonally,
agree.
just visually,
Yeah.
just in terms of, everything from like just the Jedi philosophies that are, and then to just like the extended universe and ideas that are input into the series, all this stuff. So that's what I'm saying. It's just like, it's such a perfect, not even bookend, because it's not really ending anything. It's just like such a good compliment to the original trilogy. Prequel trilogy has its moments. I know that you're a prequel trilogy baby.
I am.
I have cousins who are prequel trilogy babies as well.
It's a different experience.
It's a different experience, but there is a bit of a removal, especially if you kind of came up on the original trilogy.
And that's what I'm saying. Like if you were, I don't want to age anybody, but if you were alive to experience that massive gap before Lucas did the prequel trilogy, it does feel like there's a disconnect.
Yeah.
I get that, and I can understand that. I didn't have that experience, so for me, it just feels like I saw the original trilogy, and then I immediately saw the prequel trilogy.
Right, yeah. And I get that. And there's something to be said, like, okay, the original trilogy is this world after the war, and the prequel trilogy is the world before the war, so things look different, et cetera, et cetera. I get all that. And I'm not going to drag the prequel trilogy too much, right?
I feel like we've done that ad nauseum.
Ad nauseum, but also, there are worse things that we could talk about.
Yes, there are.
Like the sequel trilogy.
Specifically The Last Jedi. Trash. Talk about a trash can.
Absolutely. But
straight to jail.
If a gun was forced to my head, right, and someone said, all this Star Wars stuff that you have amassed and accumulated over the course of your lifetime, right, these are the only, what things can you only hold on to? I would be like, the original trilogy of Mandalorian. I'm fine with that.
I probably would agree with that.
I'm totally fine with
really
that.
like Rogue One a lot, but I do think Mandalorian would edge it out.
And I also want to point out, I never finished Andor. I've heard really great things about Andor.
I loved Andor.
I plan to finish Andor. I don't think Solo's all that bad. I don't think Solo's as bad as people made it out to be.
No, it just took the hit of The Last Jedi.
It just took the hit of The Last Jedi, and like, there's comics that I've read that I loved.
Yeah.
And actually, even the not the Thrawn trilogy. Oh God, why can't I remember the book? I read it. It was like totally incomplete. It was like part of a trilogy, and I can't remember the name of it right now. I'm blanking on names today. I don't know what the hell's my problem. But yes,
Is it?
it's a Timothy Zahn one. I've read two Timothy Zahn books, and I can't remember.
Oh my God, now I can't think
Now
of
I can't
anything.
remember any of them. Is it Dark Forces? Johnny knows.
Is it the one with Shizor?
Johnny knows exactly what this is,
Trying to look.
and I cannot remember the name of it. But I only read one book when I was a kid, and it was that one. And then the last time I read a Star Wars thing was another Timothy Zahn thing, because I was like, oh, Timothy Zahn, I trust this guy. And it was a Rogues.
Oh God, Shadows of the Empire.
Shadows of the Empire. Thank you very much. Jeez, oh my goodness.
Finally got there.
Yeah, it was a Rogues book. So, and I think all this stuff is cool. Like, you know what I mean? But if I gotta say, hey, this is quintessential Star Wars, I'm gonna go with OT and Mandalorian at this point.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
That's not what I said.
That's not, I was about to say exactly that.
Anyway.
Troy's out here stirring the pot.
I was stirring the pot. I just woke up and I chose violence that morning, like 100%.
Your comments were going off.
They were
too.
going off on me. It's hilarious. At this point, my Facebook is just like baiting. At this point,
There's nothing but shit posts.
just shit posting all the time. That's 3 in one episode.
Oh no, it is.
Anyway,
we have comments.
comments.
Mystical Green Beanie says, if you're not sniffing the toxic inks off old newsprint, are you even a real comic book fan?
I like that.
Have
I
to
respect
agree.
that.
Annie Fox saying she hasn't watched Mandalorian yet.
Do it.
Yeah, it's worth it.
Do it. Fat Tony, all caught up on The Mandalorian. Curious to hear your opinion of the 3rd episode when you see it. None of us, I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't seen it yet. Yeah, I'm actually kicking myself, but I had a bunch of Oscar movies to kind of watch before the Oscars. That was my
Fair enough.
That was my week of viewing.
Can't even blame you.
Andor was extremely serious, very well done, but very dark.
But yeah, Mandalorian. Initial take of the first episode.
I really liked it. I think Mando's his best when he's got a quest.
Oh yeah.
So the fact that he's back on a quest, I'm all about. I will say, Bo-Katan rubbed me the wrong way in this episode.
Oh yeah. I thought that was interesting.
She was kind of annoying. Like, you're pressed about getting the Darksaber, and you're pressed about saving Mandalore, and you wanna rule Mandalore. So like, go do something about it. Like literally, that's what Mando's doing. Is there something preventing you from doing that same thing? No, you just want to complain.
Right. Yeah.
Like it just came off almost out of character for her.
Oh, okay, interesting. All right, okay. No, I mean, maybe that's what I was sensing too, because I actually went back and ended up watching the second season of Mandalorian.
Okay.
Where they first introduced Bo-Katan, I think it is.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it was something about that scene that made me go back and watch the second season. So I kind of like doubled back and so maybe that's also what I was feeling. Like maybe it's a little bit out of character. I definitely suspect something more is coming out of that.
Has to be.
Like she's not going to just let him go, and she might not even be friendly about it, to be honest. Like
it seems like she's done being friendly.
Yeah, it seems like she's a little butthurt.
Yes, she is.
She's a little butthurt about like this whole thing, and like I look forward to that. I think that's really interesting. Actually, also made me watch the Book of Boba Fett again. I went back and just kind of rewatched. I only watched like the first 3 or 4 episodes.
There's like 3 episodes in there that are like specifically Mandalorian episodes.
Mandalorian, yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of came away with a different perspective of it than I did the first time.
Ooh, really?
Which was, not anything groundbreaking. I just was sort of like, I really liked the first 3 episodes of this show.
Yeah.
Like, the biker gang stuff was kind of like, it's a little okay, but whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then when they shifted to Mandalorian, I was like, basically Mandalorian 2.5, right?
The interlude.
An interlude. I was just sort of like, I kind of feel like they cheated the show out of like doing its own thing at that point. You know? Just very interesting. Also, don't know how I feel about Luke upholding the old Jedi Council ways. That whole thing about like, severing your ties to, I was just sort of like, I think I would kind of feel like you would have learned your lesson by now, that maybe that's not what you need to do anymore, that you can let that stuff go.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Interesting. Very interesting.
A few more comments.
Fantastic Four saying, I believe the Ahsoka series will be one of the best things for the entire Star Wars universe.
I am looking forward to that.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
And Annie saying, maybe she'll wait on Mandalorian and wait for a rainy day to binge watch.
Always good. I shocked myself because I legit sat there and watched like about 4 episodes back to back to back.
Dude, it's so easy.
Yeah.
You don't even realize that it's been like 4 hours.
Right, like legit. Not even because like some of those episodes were like 30 minutes.
The first episode was 30 minutes, and I was like, I feel like I've been cheated.
No, I totally felt that as well. But yeah, it's to me, it's as good as it gets for Star Wars right now, I guess. And I am a big on Jon Favreau right now. Like, I had a friend who was arguing me down about, no, it's really Dave Filoni. I'm like, Dave Filoni's doing his thing, don't get me wrong, but I feel like Jon Favreau is really making this thing work the way that it's supposed to work.
Yeah, I keep coming across quotes and different things Favreau said in interviews about the Star Wars universe that shows like his ability to crystallize what goes on in the universe and just like a fundamental understanding of why things mean certain things. That it's just like, he understands it on such a deep level that I can't see how it could be anybody else making those translations on screen.
Right, yeah. And like, I really appreciate that about him. And I also think that, I said this before, to me, Star Wars is very much a cinema thing. Like, you know what I mean? It's very, not to be Martin Scorsese about this, right? But like, I think it very much is. It's like, it's very much built off the back of the movies that George Lucas loved.
Sure.
Consolidating that into like this one thing, and then just going crazy with it.
Yeah.
And so, and I see that in The Mandalorian. Like, I see that in whatever Jon Favreau's doing. And that to me is probably what I'm responding to when I'm like, this feels right.
Yeah.
So, Mando. All right, let's talk about.
What we should do is wrap up this talk about Star Wars because basically 3 hours later.
Okay.
This always happens with Star Wars, every single time.
Can't be trusted.
Let's get into the Oscars real quick. I've said it once before, I'll say it again. If anyone deserves accolades for being a movie performer, it is Michelle Yeoh.
Oh my God, yes.
Yes, and I would say the other person would be Jackie Chan, actually. So the fact that
she
got her Oscar, he's got an honorary Oscar, actually, just thought about that, is so pitch perfect. I first saw her in Super Cop, like when I was like 14. I didn't even know that women could kick ass that much. I'll be honest with you.
Okay.
On Women's History Month, I know.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Sorry about that. But I mean, I'm atoning. This was when I was 14. I didn't know anything.
That's fair.
And like, I've been a fan ever since. And I am just, when they gave her the award. I also want to point out, a thing I love too, is Halle Berry gave her the award. So I'm going to ask you guys this question. What is the connection between Halle Berry and Michelle Yeoh?
I don't know.
Johnny?
I yield my time.
Don't look it up. You got to know.
I have no idea.
They're both Bond girls.
Michelle Yeoh was a Bond girl?
Yeah.
Tomorrow Never Dies. So I've noticed that there are a few, and I don't know if this is intentional, but the presenters and the recipients of the award during the Oscars, there seem to be a few symbolic gestures.
Yes.
Like Harrison Ford giving Everything Everywhere All at Once an award, and also, of course, freaking Short Round coming up there to accept the
I
award.
was so excited to see it.
Also, here's another one. Ruth Carter, Wakanda Forever's costume designer, received an award from Julie Dreyfus. Julie Louis-Dreyfus. Do you know what the connection is there?
No, I stopped listening.
she's in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Julie Louis-Dreyfus.
Is she?
Yeah, she is. She's in Wakanda Forever. She's in Falcon and Winter Soldier. She's like the latest addition to
I
the...
think there's a connection with her and like the Thunderbolts coming up, if I'm not mistaken.
And the Thunderbolts probably, I would imagine. So,
Word.
but yeah, like I just love that. So, were any of the Oscar winners a shock? Were you not happy about certain things? Anything in particular stand out?
I was, pretty on board with how it went all the way through. I have to say, I know some people were not thrilled that Angela Bassett didn't win.
No.
I know that was a bummer.
Yeah.
But, Avatar: The Way of the Water won their visual effects award, which it's funny because when they won, my mom was like, "You saw that, right? Did you like it?" And I was like, "I did. I tried really hard not to, but I liked it."
So let me ask you, do you feel like it really looks that good?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
The entire like sinking ship scene at the end when
Yeah,
they're all
okay.
fighting is
All right.
insane.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I had a moment where I was just like, really? And,
I wasn't surprised at all.
and I don't know, I wanted Top Gun Maverick to win something else. It got best sound. But I thought that was really interesting. There's also a conversation going on right now with Roger Deakins, who is a cinematographer. I think he worked on some of the Christopher Nolan movies, I believe. But he pointed out that he feels that The Batman is one of the best looking movies of 2023, which I think it's a phenomenal looking movie. And he said that the Oscars wouldn't award a movie like that an actual Oscar because they kind of frown on, for lack of a better term, genre movies, right? So basically, superhero, sci-fi, fantasy, stuff like that. Now, of course, I will point out Return of the King did win Best Picture.
Yeah, I was just sitting here thinking that exact thing.
Right. But at the same time, I'd say mostly he's correct.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's a little unfortunate, but...
They tend to get very limited to like the technical awards.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. So, I don't know. Yeah, a little upset for Angela Bassett, but whatever.
She was visibly upset.
She was visibly hurt, I think, actually.
Yeah.
That was kind of the look on her face. Like, I actually felt bad for her. All right, we're definitely running over. Let's do a trailer, Radiant Black. What we got, Johnny?
Catalyst War?
Yep, let's do it. Radiant Black. I'm sorry, trailer, Catalyst War, which is part of the Radiant Black franchise. Check this out.
Hey everyone, my name's Kyle Higgins. I'm the co-creator and writer of Radiant Black, a millennial superhero series that helped kick off the massive verse at Image Comics. For the last 2 years, we've really taken it upon ourselves to push the boundaries on what we think a modern superhero story can be. We've done in-universe social media and merch boxes, original orchestral scores, existential blacklight issues, an origin story told as a fold-out across 4 eras simultaneously. We even did a 5.5-minute secret animated short film with Batman Beyond's Will Friedle voicing Radiant Black. But this July, for our seminal 25th issue, we're taking our biggest swing yet. Catalyst is the machine empire with ties to the Radiants. But what is their larger role in the universe? What do the Radiants mean to them? And what does it mean for Nathan, Marshall, and Earth when Catalyst shows up to take back what is theirs? Nathan, Marshall, and the others will learn the truth about the Radiants they've synced their lives to, clash with cosmic gods, and be forced to make even tougher decisions for the lives of billions. Joining me on the 6-month odyssey is my partner in all things Radiant Black, Marcelo Costa, as well as our series superstars Joe Clark, Eduardo Ferragato, Raul Angelo, Becca Carey, and Michael Basuto. Similar to another big event that I built in 2018, Power Rangers Shattered Grid, this is a story with massive stakes. Every character, every storytelling decision thus far, they've all been leading to the Catalyst War, and it kicks off this July with Radiant Black number 25. Join us as we push the boundaries once again, this time on what a superhero event can be.
And that is the Catalyst War, which is part of the Massive Verse, which has been a big hit for Image Comics. Like, it's been something that people have really kind of like zeroed in on and gravitated towards, which is great. Kind of nice to have like a new superhero thing. You know what I mean? That's like not traditional Marvel DC. This is a 6-month odyssey that pushes the boundaries once again. This time on what a superhero event can be. It's in comic shops July 2023. Not in the previous catalog yet. But it doesn't mean you can't pre-order it. You go directly to your local comic shop and say, hey, I want all the Catalyst War books because it's going to crisscross across all the different Massive Verse books. In addition to that, you can look for it inside the May previews catalog if it's dropping in July. So definitely keep an eye out for that. And of course, you can always pre-order with Previous World Pro Blocks. That is previewsworld.com/ProBlock. Sign up, pick a store. Very important, pick a store. And and select your books and make sure there's a participating shop and you're good to go. All right, let's get into this week's poll.
Okay.
Because
we are running out of time swiftly.
We're running out of time. We're going to go over, that's fine.
All right, excellent, great. Well, this week's poll was last week's poll, but we're just going to revisit it.
So I'm not going to put it up on screen just because like the results are there. Like, Ashton, can you remember it, or would you like me to read it for you?
This is technically Johnny's poll.
This is technically Johnny's poll.
Yeah.
You got this one. I can't remember all the choices is the problem.
Okay, so basically we were asking what reference from comic books has most transcended comic culture to become understood in overall pop culture at large. And the choices were Kryptonite, Spidey Senses, Hulk Smash, and Bory Wonder.
That's right.
So
that's right.
Real quick recap. What did you think, Troy?
I definitely, if I remember correctly, my original selection was not Kryptonite. It was Spidey Senses, if I remember correctly.
Sounds right.
Yeah, which I mean, I'm kind of biased, so.
Yeah, like I think in the larger sense, Kryptonite's probably the one most people are familiar with.
Yeah.
I'm personally more predisposed to use the phrase Spidey Senses in like everyday life.
Yeah. Just anything that's like potentially hazardous
like
coming your way. Spidey senses, right?
Something feels weird, like my Spidey senses.
Exactly. So I don't know, Johnny. What would have been your selection?
Kryptonite, because like it was like that's how it
started,
came up
that's
in
right.
the first place. So, but we
well,
put
it turns out.
Yeah, we put it to a vote, and Kryptonite was the winner.
Oof, magoof. That's a blowout.
By a wide margin.
That's a wide margin. But I mean, I think some of that is because of the obvious thing, right? Superman's been around longer than any of these things, right?
True.
But he's also permeated pop culture more aggressively than any of these other things.
Yeah, like Cam Newton used to score touchdowns and do the Superman thing.
Right.
Yeah.
We talked about Shaquille O'Neal with the Superman tattoo. Of course, he played Steel, bringing it back home, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, like, and of course, the Three Doors Down song, Kryptonite.
Right. That's all right. They didn't stand a chance.
There you go. There's an Eminem song that's very inappropriate. It's also like, I'm Not Your Superman. You know, he's just been everywhere for a very long time, and also he's the basis for what you think of when you think of a superhero. Maybe not this next generation, but the previous generation, when you thought of superheroes, you thought of guy in the cape and costume.
Laid the groundwork.
He definitely laid the groundwork down. I mean, he's the OG. He's the original.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We do have a couple more comments from earlier. Andy Fox saying Michelle Yeoh is the bomb.
Yes,
Facts.
yes.
Ubaldo, sorry for being late, but hello.
Oh, okay.
It's okay.
Better
We're
late
to
than
see you
never.
as we're on our way out.
Yes.
Hi, bye.
Hi and bye. And you're also saying, sorry about all the commentary. It's either my recent concussion or too much coffee.
Whoa.
Or some combination thereof.
Annie's always got like a backstory here. Like,
But I love it.
there's always.
I'm emotionally invested now.
Right. The character arc.
I'd like Annie definitely has a full character arc. There's
Yeah.
like always something in the comments from her that's like, wait, what? What's going on in your life? Okay. Well, I hope you're okay, Annie.
Yes, definitely.
Your brain is all right.
I hope your brain is all right. Exactly.
I do.
All right, let's get into comic shop shout outs.
Okay, let's do it. Okay, I am not sure how I would pronounce this. Artifactual. Okay.
Okay.
Took me a minute. Okay, yeah. So this week's comic shop shout out goes to Artifactual Comics and Games from Hannah Tome. Johnny, do we happen to know where in the world is Carmen San Diego?
Yes, that's in P, West Virginia.
Okay, great.
Okay.
So you can take a look inside of Artifactual Comics during the credits roll. We show you some pictures inside the shop. If you want us to shout out your local comic book shop on the show, find us on social media, tag your shop. If they don't have a handle, just leave their name and use the hashtag #SupportYourLCS. We'll find your local comic book shop, shout them out on the show, and give them some love.
All right. Philippi, West Virginia. I've never even heard of that before.
I could not find that on a map.
No,
I could find West
absolutely.
Virginia,
You could
but
find West Virginia.
Philippi?
I think Google can find it on a map for you.
No, that's fair. Okay, fine. Actually, there's a lot of things I couldn't find on the map, actually. No. Physically, I could not find on a map, including probably Maryland.
First, you have to find a map.
First, I have to
one
find a
of
map,
those.
also true, a physical map. Okay, so here's your reminder to like, follow, and subscribe. You can hang out with me at PREVIEWSworld, where I remind you of all the cool things that you can bring at your local comic shop. And you can hang out with Ashton at...
Free Comic Book Day, where I remind you that Free Comic Book Day is, in fact, on May 6th.
There you go, absolutely. Actually, speaking of Free Comic Book Day, can you let people know a little bit about the creator interviews you're doing?
Yes, this is one of my favorite ways to promote the books. So we partner with our publishers who have books available on Free Comic Book Day, and they just kind of hand their creators over to us to talk to them and ask them about their books, what inspired their work, what are some of the themes. And one of the things we added last year that we're doing again this year that I love is just like the rapid fire section where we ask them stuff like, would you survive in a zombie apocalypse? Would you rather be invisible or fly? Do you listen to music when you create? Just like quick little weird questions. Because I like to keep it quirky. The zombie apocalypse question is my favorite because everyone is either overconfident or sure they're going to die immediately.
Interesting, okay.
No gray area.
I guess that says something about your own personal narcissism.
Yeah.
Or your lack of confidence, I don't know.
So we have a bunch of them up on the Free Comic Book Day website in the Event Essentials section if you want to get excited.
All right, cool. If you head on over to PREVIEWSworld.com, you'll be... what was I was going to say? You will be feast. You will feast your eyes. Hold on.
You will be a feast.
You will be a feast. It's a trap. You will feast your eyes on an interview I did. Actually, I didn't do this. Actually, I should take that back.
Okay.
Our Dickie Faust did an interview for Dead by Daylight, which is based off a video game series. Did an interview with the writer on that one. I'm actually not familiar with this video game that much. I'm not sure what the format is, what kind of type of video game it is, but I know it's a hugely popular one.
Yeah.
Hey, a lot of games come out. I don't play all of them. It happens sometimes, right?
Not
But I think the
realistic.
interesting thing about this, and I've noticed this is a pattern, these new comics that are kind of like spin-offs or like licensed from licensed properties to the video games, they're including codes to get additional items in the game itself.
Oh, that's
so
smart.
that in itself is a bonus for a lot of people. First time I noticed was the Marvel Fortnite crossover, and I've been seeing more and more of that as time has gone on. Also, I think this is very cool. Also quite expensive, but also very cool. There's a Nemesis Prime action figure that's available right now from 3.0. This
Oh my
thing
gosh.
is nuts. And I know that there are levels to Transformers collectors, right? Like you have the Hasbro guys who are like, I just want the Hasbro stuff.
Yeah.
And then you got the people that are like, I want everything Transformers. And this just so happens to be from the Bumblebee movie. But yeah, it is nuts. Like, I mean, the level of detail, I'm not even sure this thing actually transforms. I would imagine it does not, because it's just so pretty.
Is it made out of metal?
I believe it's actually made out of some sort of metal.
Oh
yes.
my God.
But yeah, this thing is nuts. But yeah, this
Ability in this thing's incredible.
incredible, right? So maybe it does transform. That'd be crazy if it actually does. I don't
That'd
think
be
it
wild.
does. I don't think it does, but that would be crazy if it did. Also, it's Optimus Prime, which is really cool. It's Optimus Prime in all black, which is kind of awesome. But yeah, this is from the premium collectibles figure line of 3.0. It's available pre-order right now. Johnny, what is the price on that? I forgot.
Oh my God.
$5.18. So if you're serious about your collecting and you're serious about your Transformers, this is the thing to jump on.
Oh my God. How big is it? Does it have the?
I think it actually says it's
19 inches.
okay. Wow.
Okay. It's
Impressive.
nearly 2 feet tall. It's a big boy.
Yeah.
Oh, and look at this. Features over 140 points of articulation.
Wow. Maybe it does transform. I'm really curious if this thing actually transforms now. Because that level of articulation, like, is kind of crazy.
Die-cast metal frame.
Yep.
Wow. I feel like if it transformed though, wouldn't they have a glamour shot of it?
Yeah, probably not. That might have been the one thing that it was like, okay, this is too much. Let's just get it out. Let's just get it out in the market. We're gonna break this thing if we don't. But yeah, that's on the website as well. As usual, you can definitely check out more on PREVIEWSworld.com, and of course, the catalog is there every single month, and on PREVIEWSworld.com/catalog, where you can take a look at everything that's available to pre-order 2 months from now, or sometimes several months from now. Like for example, I think this Nemesis Prime thing isn't due for a couple more months. But yeah, check it out. It's a treasure trove of cool things that you can get at your local comic shop.
Treasure trove.
Absolutely.
We do have a super secret chat message in here that I'm not supposed to show.
A super secret chat message.
But it does say, Annie Fox saying, Ashton looks like a supermodel today. Shh, don't tell her.
Ooh.
That's so nice. Wait, that made my day. That was really, I appreciate that a lot. That was very sincere.
There you go. Thank you, Annie Fox, on behalf of Ashton. I don't know. Anyway.
Thanks on behalf of myself.
On behalf of myself. Well, I figured if you say it, it's going to be weird. Anyway, that's it for Previews World Weekly, guys. We ran over, not that bad. It was an hour and 7 minutes.
Okay.
If that. But hey, I am Troy-Jefferey Allen.
I'm Ashton Greenwood.
And we'll see all of you at the Spinner Rack. Catch you next week.
Don't forget that you can also get a sneak peek at upcoming comics by picking up a copy of this month's previews catalog. Just ask for it at your friendly local comic shop.
We all love comics, but do you also love toys and collectibles? Well, I've got you covered on my weekly show, DST Unboxed, where I show you some amazing items and even some exclusives that are on their way to your local comic shop. Check it out at youtube.com/collectdst.
Hakes Auctions is the premier source for all manner of Americana and collectibles, and auction number 237 is now open for bidding. Here are some of the amazing items that you can find over at Hakes.com. Be sure to check out the full auction by visiting Hakes.com. Closing dates for items in auction 237 are March 21st through 22nd. Hakes, America's first collectibles auction house.
What you want? What you want? Come on. What you want? Come on.